The most important thing I have to tell you today is that Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is finally here. Tomorrow morning, Wednesday a.m., I will be streaming Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door beginning at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Check the other time zones if you need to. I believe that is like 3 p.m. in the UK, something around there, but it's 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Click the link in the description down below. And if I can't entice you with Paper Mario, maybe I can with a sleepy cat who will be joining me for the live stream. Anyways, super pumped for that because the reviews are in and they're awesome. But good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. He's already back to sleep. The most important thing to talk about is Nintendo made an acquisition. They don't do this very often at all. So when they do, I feel like it is momentous. Let me know in the comments down below if you're pumped for Paper Mario, if I'll see you on the live stream. Link down there in the description if you want to bookmark it. And let me know what you think about Nintendo acquiring Shiver. Let's start there because Shiver is a great port studio. They're most recently responsible for Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy, which are maybe not miracle ports, but incredibly impressive ports. Wonderful port jobs on Switch. And so Nintendo said, because next generation ports are going to be more important than ever, and because ports are going to be beefier than ever, bigger, better, newer games, come on board. Shiver has done a ton of work. Maybe not the like golden button of ports, but pretty close. We acquired them, Nintendo acquired them from Embracer. Trust me, I don't work for Nintendo. That was a horrible faux pas, but no, we meaning like us, Nintendo, our group. I don't work for Nintendo. I wish I did. If you want to go on a tangent about why I wish I worked for Nintendo, we can do that differently. I don't get any review copy. Don't get invited to any events. They don't talk to me. They hate me because I unboxed the Switch OLED early. Anyways, let's talk about Shiver. This is a big acquisition, and Nintendo is going to utilize them to power the next generation internally. Now, the good news here is that Shiver will get more money, Shiver will get more support, and Shiver will have direct contact with Nintendo to make the ports even sweeter. This is also interesting because now Nintendo has an in-house port team that they can sort of, I guess, hand out for partnerships for help. We know a company like Square Enix recently announced that they're going to be getting rid of the exclusive sort of style of their game releases, going multi-platform. Nintendo's benefited from that already. Stock for Nintendo has risen 4 days in a row, and most people think it's because of Square Enix change of heart. It bodes well for Switch 2, and I'm telling you, third-party games are going to be a huge part of Switch 2's success, and are going to be a huge part of turning the dial from Nintendo systems just being Nintendo and indie systems to Nintendo systems being a legit system. Is it going to be on the PS5 level? No. But is it going to be competent? Yes. Is it going to get a bunch of those games? Yes. And you can tell Nintendo's straight up telling us with this acquisition, we care about third parties and we want a team that we can coach, that we can learn from even, that we can outsource, that we can utilize to help bring even more third party games to Nintendo Switch. Embracer has been, like, remember, they bought everything up and now they've been kind of a mess. So I'm glad that Shiver probably gets out under from some convoluted, chaotic management and gets to come over to Nintendo. Hopefully Nintendo treats them well. Hopefully they pay them better. Hopefully they reward them for all the good work that they've done. And hopefully we get more games that run good, but in many ways run great on Switch. I think no longer with Switch 2 will we get to say like, oh, it runs good for a Switch port. That's not going to cut it. Like for the Switch 2, it's going to have to be this runs good and this plays good. Is it as, graphically, fidelity, perfect one-to-one as the PS5 port? No. But is it good? Is it great even? Yes. We're not going to say for a Switch port anymore because that just shouldn't be the case. With this coming in-house, Shiver coming in-house, with the graphical improvements and the hardware improvements of the next console, Nintendo should be able to strive for better, and we should expect better out of our Switch 2 ports. We should expect day and date, we should expect major games and franchises, and we should expect good performance, even great performance, and good graphics, even great graphics. But Nintendo rarely does this. Like, they got Grezzo on board, they got Shiver on board, but explicitly with the purpose of strengthening their next generation strategy. It's very interesting, it's very telling, and I think it's a great fit. I mean, there's no way that this really goes bad unless Nintendo doesn't let them do their jobs, but the whole point of buying them is to let them do their jobs. So this might be one of the smartest acquisitions, might be one of the best acquisitions, and guess what? It's not making any more games more exclusive. A lot of times when we see Microsoft acquire a company, Sony acquire a company, that studio then becomes exclusive or has caveats or delays like timed exclusivity. That's not it for Nintendo. This is going to be ports. This is going to be making more games available to more people. So Nintendo's acquisition actually does a really good thing and actually supports the health of the industry, I think. The other thing this allows for is Nintendo can now go to a studio that maybe doesn't have the capability, maybe doesn't have the team size, maybe doesn't have the money to begin a port job and say, hey, we really want your game on our system, and we have a studio that can help make it happen. There can be these partnerships that are even for one game or a series of games, and Nintendo can now have their own workforce come and say like, hey, I don't know, Ubisoft, you may not have the capacity or want to bring Far Cry to Switch 2, but we want Far Cry on Switch 2, so let us help you help us. Because ports are good for everybody. They bring more money to the original studio and publisher. They bring more exposure to the game franchise. They open up more console sales for older titles. And of course, they then bring Nintendo more opportunities to attract players with popular franchises, big games, and third-party hits. So it's a really great scenario where Nintendo can do things on their own. They can work with tons of others. And in the end, what you need to know is more third-party games than ever before will come to Switch 2. And because Nintendo owns Shiver now and can sort of dictate what they do, it will allow Nintendo to target and sort of plan a web of what third-party games they want to get, which ones they're targeting in advance, which ones they want day and date, which ones they want to snag that they didn't get initially. It just gives them so much flexibility and will allow for tons of fun on the Switch that wasn't really, it was a strong start, I'd say, for Switch 1 and some flourishes along the way, but it didn't pan out the way I think we all thought it would. Many of the coolest, newest games were cloud versions, and never again, Nintendo. Please, never a cloud version ever again. We don't need it. Don't do it. It's terrible. Now, Nintendo games themselves might always be king, and Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is no exception. Reviews dropped today, and it's got an 89 on Metacritic, being the highest rated Mario RPG title of the last 15 years, and rightfully so. Everyone says this is a beautiful adventure, looks great on Switch, plays fantastic, the combat's awesome, the characters are awesome, the story's awesome, the world's awesome. It's awesome. I don't know that we expected anything less, save for the 30 frames per second, which doesn't seem to be too terrible. This is a great version of the game and a much more accessible version than the overpriced GameCube physical copy you could buy on eBay a few months before this was announced. So I'm very excited for this. As I mentioned, I'm going to be streaming it. We're going to play through. I've never beaten this game. I've never got very far into this game, so it's kind of a fresh experience for me. And I think for a lot of players that have not played through TTYD, this is like a huge release. One of the biggest of the year, and as of right now, the biggest, because we don't know Nintendo's schedule, even though they will reveal more games at their June Direct. Right now, we've got Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, and we should be really grateful. The reviews are shining. Nintendo did not screw this up, and it's nice to know that the game holds up to this day in 2024. Because remember, this is a very old game. This is a GameCube title that came out a long time ago. So the fact that it stands the test of time, the fact that Nintendo has brightened and emboldened this title to come back for a new audience, and for those of us who didn't play it, it's crazy cool Mario release and probably a better Paper Mario than any of the Paper Marios that have come since it. Just kind of crazy because Nintendo is now known for topping their last entries. Like, that's been the Switch mantra. Paper Mario, though, probably has kind of stayed underneath, sometimes even sinking very low, but Paper Mario now back to full strength. And I think from this, as long as it sells decent, we could get a tried and true, very traditional Paper Mario sequel that's awesome, inventive, and maybe expansive in a way that Zelda, Mario, Splatoon, etc. have all built up with their Switch parts, Switch ports, Switch versions, ports on the mind, Switch versions, and yeah, Paper Mario seems amazing. But that'll do it for today, my friends. Hopefully I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Thanks so much for watching. SwitchForce out.